Finding yourself lost in finding ways to be found, getting into your mind, lost in. Got to get shit started some way or
Yeah,
another, you
legit,
know? Oh,
legit.
God.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me,
Of course, man. It's my
bro.
pleasure.
Oh my God, it's when the last time I saw you must have been 10 years. I think so. Right? Well, when did you move out to LA? How long has it been? Or
I
are you
will,
in LA? Were you in?
n-
You were in LA. Am I wrong?
no, I was in LA. I lived in LA 2019.
Okay.
And I left in 2020. So I was almost there for a year.
Oh, okay. So when did you leave Muncie? Then 2019.
No, I left New York in 2017.
Okay.
And I went to Israel. I was there for about 3, almost 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I came back. So I did a little bit of
You did. Was it like military?
no, no, no. I went there. I worked. I worked. I had a job. I had an apartment there.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah, I had an actual life there. Crazy.
Yeah, yeah. You started your own thing. Well,
Exactly.
really crazy. Because I remember you. I remember you were talking about going to LA. Because I think you have a brother there. Am I wrong?
Yeah, my brother has a business. It's called Max Tip and Rebuilders. He
Okay.
rebuilds computer boards for Chrysler vehicles specifically. So
Cool.
yeah, and he has a whole warehouse factory out there. It's crazy.
Wow. Good for him. Wow. That's kind of insane. Wow. So you went out there after Israel, right?
Hmm.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
How did you? And now you're in Miami. Is that correct?
No, I'm currently in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm down here in Florida. I mean, yeah, it's kind of crazy how like we haven't.
Yeah.
I saw you quite a number of years ago, but we haven't actually
Yes.
like connected in
I know.
a long time. Yeah. I mean, a lot of things have been going on for you know. I do keep like up to date, you
Sure.
know, cute little oh
Yeah.
my god. This dude and the puppy videos and his kids. I
Yeah.
mean,
Right,
the thing
bro.
about being a dad is like there's levels of being a dad, but you're the
Sure.
type of okay, I think I can give you this label. I think you're like the dad with the cute kids. So you
Yeah.
definitely get like the all moment
100%.
whenever possible. 100%.
Yes. Yeah. I would definitely say that. I always say I'm surrounded by cuteness. Well, I say two things. I say I'm surrounded by cuteness all the time, and also I'm surrounded by responsibilities. So like it's actually a really good balance for like life experience, like life lessons all the time. Because like I have to keep my shit together. Like I have to. I'm a role model regardless. Like no matter what happens, I'm always a role model. So it does put me in, I guess you could say, in structure mode, but it also puts me in positive mode. I feel like, and that's a balance and not a struggle, but like a challenge of itself where like some people, including myself, like we could get like an overstructure, meaning like continuously making sure that everything is perfect, right? And I mean, every parent naturally, I'm using parenthood as an example, but I feel like anybody who has the need for structure, if it's their
I mean, like from
career,
your own experience, I mean, you're a parent yourself, like your own experience raising these two kids.
yeah,
Yeah.
essentially, yeah. Like and that's also part of the, I guess you could say, in an interesting way, the beauty of doing it alone. Well, I mean, my ex is actually pretty awesome as a co-parent, but
It's
yeah,
a plus. It's a very
it's
big plus.
huge. I mean, we just did the beach together, me, her, fiance, her
Oh.
friends. Yeah, we all and the kids. We were. It was awesome. Like I'm like, this is like, it feels normal, but yet it's not. Like it was just a good, awesome moment. Like I've really let go so much in terms of like ego or bias, hurt, all that stuff. Like, because like again, I'm a role model. So if my responsibility is to make sure things work out and things are good and my kids have good memories, like I would say like it's so important just to look at the beauty of what's right now, because that's what they're gonna remember. They don't remember how I felt 4 years ago. They don't remember how I'm gonna feel in 5 years. They remember right now, and like that definitely relates to the dogs too, because I would say the cool thing about dogs is that they look at you in the moment, right? For what you are, for who you are. People say that in a very positive way. I think it
Mm-hmm.
always is very positive, but I'm gonna say even in more of like a I guess like structured developmental way, where like your dog's like, I need to know what to do now, right? That's like that's kind of like the message in that, where like, yeah, it definitely has like love underlying it all, but sometimes it's actually a little deeper than that. It's like your dog, and I've had a lot of people who, unfortunately, we all have hard times, but like people have told me like my dog saved my life, because I literally had this. Somebody told me this like a few months ago, because my dog was looking at me when I was just having these like really depressing thoughts, and he was like looking at me like, I need you, right? And like that alone, that just jarred the guy out of his depression.
Well, animals have something that we as humans generally don't, which is called unconditional love.
For sure.
And the reason is because with especially like I have a cat and she's a rescue. I've had her for about 5 years.
Mhm.
They communicate with you not within speech. There's no, there's you can't talk English to your cat or your dog. They're not going to understand you. But they communicate with you within body language, feelings, emotions, how you're moving around, and they connect with you very well. I would say, though, being a person that trains dogs, such as yourself, is
Yes.
not an easy task because, like you said, it's all about these animals being a part of the experience, being able to learn and develop and grow to be adult, mature dog. And
Yeah. I would say, see, first off, just to point out what you said about how your cat looks at your body language. That's a really good point, because there's silent language and then there's loud language. That's kind of how I put it. And a lot of us, unless if we're in a meditative state, or we allow ourselves to kind of have like that Zen moment where we just zero in the moment that we're in, we're going to be focusing a lot on loud language, right? Because like we're like, what, I didn't hear what that person said. I wanted them to say something different, or why is nobody telling me this, or and then when it comes to our dogs, it greatly relates that way too, because like, could you just come here already, or like, why are you not listening to me? Or there's a lot, and I have people that complain like my dog doesn't love me, but when somebody's able to kind of go in the moment and understand that, I would say like really think that sometimes the most powerful love is the silent love, where it's not dependent upon words or actions necessarily. It's just a belief. It's a faith. It's just something that you believe in. That person loves me, and it's really something that's
if you
intentional.
trust, if you trust them, they will trust you.
That's
And
yeah,
100%. And like, yes, I'll tell you this straight up. My cat
yeah,
is more dog like than she is cat. She
okay,
likes to walk on a leash. She chases balls.
really,
Yeah, she loves to like get on her back and you scratch her on her tummy and she goes
oh,
bananas. Yeah. But at the same time, the thing about we already started talking about creating bonds, whether,
sure,
with a human child is very different than with an animal. But the concept still applies of where if you're creating a bond with something,
yes,
why are you doing it? How
it's
are
a
you going
good,
to react to it? How are you going to connect to it?
yeah,
What are the steps that you're going to be taking? I don't know what goes into like your practice or how you do your training, but I'm
yeah.
sure there's a level of that goes into it.
100%. That's a very good point. So I say that dogs specifically look very similar to cats as well. Obviously, dogs is my forte in specialty, so I'm going to reference dogs.
Much easier to train as dogs than cats. Oh my god.
Definitely. I really think the people who train cats are really good at selling it, but like it's just, training cats. It's not an easy thing, and I really think it's very limited to what you could actually teach versus a dog. I mean, it's limitless essentially. So with dogs, I tell people that I think owning a dog, similar to a cat in this one aspect, owning a dog is one of the most healing, therapeutic activities that we can do, that we need no encouragement or persuasion to do it. So, for example, for somebody to do talk therapy, or even to do like art therapy, music therapy, dance therapy, like it's intense, right? And it definitely involves a lot of you to be present and to want to go and push yourself. But the second you see a dog, right, online, like I have clients of mine that literally, I have a client that I just got last week. Like, she told me it took 60 seconds. That's it. She saw the dog on Instagram. She messaged the breeder and she got it. Like, that's it. She put a deposit. Like, I love this one. This is mine. And I look at him like, first, like the person naturally, like, in terms of like regular life, you don't ever fall in love that quick, right? You don't ever just like have this like crazy obsession of passion and love and romance and healing. But with the dog, we do. And I know it's largely because we believe that this dog, subconsciously, we believe that this animal is going to be able to support, validate, be my buddy through everything. And that's really what people are looking for. They don't realize that. And where training comes into play is that I always remind my clients that 4 months ago, your dog didn't even exist, right? And now you're bending over and giving everything, and not necessarily providing the structure or the house, the basic guidelines, right? As to how we're going to create this loving relationship. Because any relationship, taking human, for example, where it's based upon infatuation and no actual values for what we stand for, right? I mean, it's going to crumble. But with the dog, majority of people who, let's just say, and I'm going to explain how I view love with the dog, but most people who are very into the infatuated form of love with their dogs, where there's, I guess you could say, absence of like personal space, let's just say, for example, or, basic stuff, the dog will naturally see that no one's in charge, and that love will become a love that actually, unfortunately, weakens the owner, and it literally weakens, because those puppies will go on to nipping, biting, jumping, barking, and going really crazy.
They have no structure. Because
Yeah,
keep
they
in
don't.
mind, you have to remember they come from wolves.
Yes.
So they come from packs. So the whole idea is that when you bring a dog into your house,
Yeah.
you are its alpha. So if you don't act like its alpha, it's what
One
it
hundred percent.
what is a beta supposed to do? It's just gonna it's the beta can't turn into an alpha.
That's a good question. So when you say beta, you mean the beta of the dog, or beta? You mean you're referencing like the dog, right?
Most dogs generally are going to be betas.
That's
Most dogs. There are maybe some breeds that will be more deltas. Possibly there are. Then maybe there are dogs that will be more loners than others, 100%. But generally speaking, this is why you're doing the training. This is why you give treats. This is why you communicate with your dog and you have these experiences. You're creating that relationship with them. So
yeah.
they understand the structure 100%.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, yeah, to reference that, like the pack structure and social hierarchy, it's something important to understand because it does relate very much so to people. We all evolve. We all have some sort of animal aspect, however which way you want to believe in it. We either evolve from them or we behave like them. There's something that we have that is very relative, very similar to the animal mind. And the thing that I love about animal life, and I would say specifically dogs, is that lying, right? Falsehood has no room in the wild. You cannot fake your way to leadership. It's just not possible. If you do, you will get challenged and you will probably get killed by the pack or by a rival pack. So, on the other hand, if you know how to be a leader and you know how to claim your space, not necessarily compete, that's a mistake a lot of people make, where they pave the way to leadership through competition, which could be by fighting, getting reactive, getting angry, getting mad, aggressive, which is very much a typical behavior of a beta. The beta is the ones who challenge, are the ones who act that way, which is their God given skill. Like that's what they're here for. They're here to make sure everybody's in check, everybody's able to be strong enough to defend, that they're going to fight against any oncoming predators, etc. The alpha, on the other hand, is more just to reinforce, to teach, to guide, and that's why alpha is always in the back of the pack. They're never in the front because they're there to make sure everything goes well. If they're in the front, they will die. That's just reality. They have the ability, the possibility of dying. So when people tend to put themselves in a very, like I had a client today, she told me that her dog humps other dogs in the dog park. This dog goes nuts. And I said to her, how do you, a bunch of questions, but one of them was, what do you do in the dog park with your dog? And she says, I follow him around to make sure that it doesn't happen. I said, here's the problem. You're following your dog. Your dog should be following you, right? So when you're in the dog park, you should be telling your dog, come here, heel, come here, sit, good boy, go get, right? So on the other hand, you're following him. So yeah, she's thinking it's in order to reinforce his behavior, but unfortunately, she's doing it in a competitive way, which is naturally making the dog actually work harder, right? And wanting to hump more and wanting to destroy or terrorize whatever he's doing. So it's really unique how people, because we start off with this like love mindset, and not necessarily structure where like I'm going to provide for you, we tend to resort to a lot of emotional changes, reactions inside ourselves because we have no idea what the fuck to do. We don't know,
Yeah.
right? Like, so we're going to turn to an emotional bias because like it was all about emotions in the first place, right? It was about
Right.
extreme love. So now it's going to go into extreme anxiety, extreme aggression. So like my job as like a coach is to help people become more aware, not necessarily emotional. And I tell people, don't hold back those emotions. Like that's how you feel. But we're going to empower the mind to understand what you're more capable of. And there are people that are less alpha for sure. Like they're not confident. They don't know how to talk. And I see the dog that they got is 100% could become what I like to say, like a fake alpha. And there's a lot of dogs that who are that. They believe they own the block, then they meet the wrong dog at the wrong time, and they get in a dog fight, and it's bad. So and the only reason why the dog is acting that way is because the owners allowed him or her to kind of get there in a very inorganic, ingenuine type of way, where it's usually about just like literally no boundaries. So now this
Right.
dog is living a human life, which is unfortunately, full of bullshit most of the time. And now this dog is like, I see, dog runs up to another dog, bow down to me, and that's what happens. So I have to like build up people's confidence and not just with the dog, but like in general. And over time, I've just curated, I say like a lot of animal people know how to talk to animals, but they don't know how to talk to people. And you've seen that, like just in general,
Yeah,
like
because you know what, I'm
yeah,
one of those people, and this is something that's very hard for people to understand,
sure,
and I don't really talk about it very often. When
sure.
you grow up in a closed community
Yes.
and you're isolated for most of your life, and I have one of my best friends. She does a podcast with us. We do American Groove together. She grew up in Iowa in a Christian home,
Wow.
and to explain to somebody that's from the real world that type of
Hmm.
environment and then being able to leave that environment out being part of the real world, it
Yes.
is night and day difference. The thing for me is
Hmm.
I don't know how to communicate with people. I don't know how to, and I've been out of the community for since 2017,
Yeah,
and
almost 8 years.
almost, yeah, almost 8 years, and it's like you,
Yeah, it's you find that hard, right? Like how to actually communicate.
oh yeah, come on.
It's true. Um, it's very true. Let me ask you, what do you do? What's your daily career, like job, occupation? What do you do?
Oh, I work in a call center.
Okay. Well, that's communication. Like,
Oh,
but not,
oh,
but not really, I guess, right? Because
no,
it's like a
not
robot.
really. It's more like people getting pissed off at you
Oh shit.
for no
Yeah, yeah.
reason.
Like, what industry are you doing a call center for?
I refill PAP supplies for patients.
Okay, yes, they're pissed, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of the times I get some really great patients, but it's really it's really strange because okay, you can really appreciate this.
Okay.
I get patients on the phone that are Jewish, very Jewish.
Oh, really? Like
On
religious?
yeah, 100. When you get somebody on the phone that's like,
Yeah.
hello, I'm trying to order
Holy shit. Yeah, yeah,
CPAP
yeah.
supplies.
Yeah, yeah.
I live in Brooklyn. I'm like,
Okay. Jewish.
Chesky Klein. I'm making up a name because I can't give a real
Yeah.
name. Like Chesky Klein.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
hilarious.
those are always fun. Oh my god, they're a blast because they have no idea I'm Jewish and I know exactly who what kind of environment and all that shit is, and it's
That's
like so
hilarious.
weird because
Yeah.
you're on the
What
phone and they can't see you.
do you feel like weird? Not I don't know weird, but like well, how does that feel when somebody like that calls? Like you've left the community so long ago, but like whenever like I guess something like that pops up, like is it like I don't know, does it bring up memories or are you ready like so far removed? Do you get what I mean?
The thing is that I am at this point so far removed where I can walk into a church, a mosque, a synagogue, and it makes no difference to me.
Gotcha.
But when I do see religious people,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't bother me. It's just it hits something in my brain.
Mm.
And again, like nothing against people that are religious. I think to each
Right.
their own. Some people do great with it, some people don't.
Yeah.
But it's just it's really strange for people like us because you yourself, you're an adult, you have kids, you have a career that you've built for yourself. These are things that we've all had to learn and develop because we weren't I wasn't given these skills.
Me
No one
neither. Yeah.
said to go. You know what my rabbis and people in Russia, Russia Shivas they would think if they knew I did this shit. They think I was an apikoros. I was a satanic worshiper. I mean, the list goes on.
For sure. Yeah.
I am a satanic worshiper, but that's something else. Kidding.
It's true. It's true. I mean the box. I've said before that we have, there's various different personality types and I do think in general like religion or any sort of social society built ideology is not going to focus on individual needs. It's going to focus on general needs, right? In terms of
Collective.
population.
Yeah.
Yeah, collective is the right word. And truth is, you have some people that are meant to be CEOs. You have some people that are meant to be soldiers. Some people are meant to be freelancers, right? And that relates as well towards personal identity. Some people are meant to be more free. And with that, they're able to contract themselves, like metaphorically, they're able to contract themselves and be able to learn from many different environments, right? Like you see some people that flourish working remote, living in Costa Rica in the jungle. And some people are like, no, I fucking need to live in New York City and get to the office every single day from 9 to 8. You know, like that's just different personality types. And
Right.
really, people have to focus and try to see like what is my type, and like how am I gonna best relate to me and structure my life for that, because that's where I know my like for me, I'm an independent contractor. That's just my lifestyle, right? And I do see myself slowly like learning how to be less reactive, not necessarily reactive, but sensitive is a better word. Being less sensitive towards like collective, like even like New York City to me, I get sensitive around it. I'm like everybody's stuck. You know what I mean? Like that's just how I feel. I'm like I need to breathe. I need to get out. But like I'll on purpose go to the city though, or and I'll just like stick myself in there just to experience it. But I know at my core, like I need that freedom in terms of lifestyle. Like I go to I just have thank God like my career is gives me so much flexibility to travel, to go to the beach every week, to have my clients, like I'm able to do that, and that's something that I used to think it was a luxury, but it's actually a necessity. I know it
It's
almost
something you can work. It's something that you have to work towards, but it takes time to do it.
for I had to work so long to get to this, and which was a good moment of realization because I could go through God Almighty, I've had so many. I could give you a quick summary in a second, but like, just main thing was like I didn't realize until recently that wow, I don't have to keep hustling, because I believe that there's something true about just making good money. A lot of times we're focused on you have to make more, 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 but then there's also just stability, and stability comes before scalability, right?
Correct.
And that's 100%. We're so consumed by wanting to make a big difference or to manifest our dreams. All these fancy terms people say, but in all reality, in all truth, the main thing is really like, are you living a good life? Is what you're doing something that's stable, something that you could actually rely on? Because that itself, I have this quote that I may not be. I'm going to try to remember it. I may not. Let me find it for you. I want to say it actually the right way. It's a really good
You
one.
good?
Yeah, I'm gonna find it. Wait.
N- Damn,
Uh,
you bring up a really great point.
yeah. So tell me, what do you think?
No, I totally agree, and I kind of have taken this philosophy with podcasting. I
Hmm.
had a conversation with somebody the other day of, with social media and marketing and such, and I can honestly say, like, with the way that I've been growing the podcast, it's been word of mouth
Nice.
and exposure. So, this is the first time I've ever had to like have a social media account where I can look at followers and I'm like, oh my God, yeah, that person's a friend of that person. Like, oh my God, they were there and they saw that. So it really creates that environment. And same thing works like with what you're doing too, is when you're taking care of these puppies and helping
Yeah.
these dogs, you know, word of mouth goes around and people are like, oh my God, yeah, I heard of Ice. Like, oh my God, well, how was he? Was he good? Yeah, he's pretty good. Oh my God, let me try him out. You know, the thing is, social media is a really great tool, but here's the thing: being a social media star is like
Yeah.
this. Being successful as an independent contractor, being social, like for example, using social media to be able to network yourself and be able to create that structure, that brand, that platform
Mhm.
is like this.
Right.
Because
Right.
you're not being impractical. You're not pushing yourself where I gotta post every single day. I gotta shove crap in people's.
Right. Definitely. That's true. I mean, it's
Oh,
organic. It's about being organic.
I want to hear this quote that you
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. So here, maybe you're not meant to be the best. Maybe you're meant to just show that it's simply possible. And by doing that, you'll actually show people what being the best is really about. And
Damn.
yeah,
Whoa. Is that your quote?
that's my own quote. Yeah.
Damn,
Uh,
bro.
Thank you. I actually had another one which kind of runs off that, which I was thinking yesterday. They come to me when I'm doing like my biking or running or my jujitsu. Like when I'm in like an extreme like function mode, like my brain just goes like that. And I was like,
You need momentum.
yeah, yeah. I had this quote which I'm not looking for. No, I said I'm not living the perfect life, but my life makes perfect look ashamed. And so, which means that if you want to live within the boxes, right? Because I think perfect life essentially, which we could all relate to, like we do, however much we say I think it's just like it's a cliche, almost like nothing's perfect. But the truth is, we deep down kind of, if you're stressing yourself out and pushing and pressuring, it's probably because you want something to be perfect. You want your career to really work out. You want your life to really work out. So really, what you're doing is you're creating these boxes, or you have these boxes that were created by someone else, or wherever, whoever, and you have certain lists inside of them, and you want to check them off. But reality is, here's the thing: like, do you want to live within the box, or do you want to live out of the box? I think majority of us have seen more success living outside the box. You stepped out of your comfort zone, for example. You discovered a new self, a new resiliency. So all that of like trying to fit and check every single thing inside the box essentially is limiting you. On the other hand, just live, right? Just
Right.
actually live. And the life I have is 100% not perfect, because I was thinking about it. Like, I was biking during the day, right? And most people are working during the day. I think I was able to have my clients earlier, later, whatever. And it's so not a traditional way that I'm living. And I think a lot of people relate, where like if you create your own lifestyle, it's going to be very different than traditional, right? Because it's your own. And I'm like, it's definitely not perfect. But if I'm looking at the people who are living the quote unquote perfect life, like that actually looks shameful because they're not having the smiles I'm having, right? And I would not have had, if I was living that way, I would not be smiling the way I am right now. So screw the perfect life. It's really, I'm living the life, you know?
You know what I think the biggest lie is? Retirement.
Yeah. Yeah. People are fighting towards that, right?
Yeah, and the reason is that, and I've had the privilege of speaking with. I once spoke with somebody that was in his late 90s, and he's a cyclist. He
Okay.
rides bicycles,
Yeah.
and he was telling me that has done this his whole life. I mean, this guy was cycling in the 50s,
Wow.
and crazy. And he said to me, he says, "Listen," he says, "I have two legs that still work. So
Wow.
why do I stop riding?"
Wow. That's amazing.
He's got a good point. You know,
Yeah.
the thing is that you're alive until you die. So, I'm not telling people don't retire, but
Mhm.
don't treat it like, oh, I can't wait till this horrible job is. Why are you in the horrible job then?
Right. Exactly.
But
That's
I need that retirement paycheck. But what happens then when you get Medicare and then your expenses go up because you don't use your body and then you have to get more medications and prescriptions?
that's so true.
Just
Yeah.
you're
And
feeding into the system. Just feeding
it
into it.
essentially you're convincing yourself what you're having right now is not good as well, right?
Bingo.
You can't live this life at all because it's
Until
just
you're
too hard.
65.
Yeah, bro. That's just the unfortunate reality of how people have seen this. I mean, I have this other quote which kind of relates to this of when you grow in time, you become wise. When you stay in time, you become old. And do you get
Can you
that?
say that one more time?
When you grow with time, you become wise, but when you stay in time, you become old.
It,
And
yeah.
which means that like that whatever you're going through, if you're going to actually learn from it and grow with it, right? And take it to the next level, like max your max. That's what those people who are doing that, they're doing better right now when they're 70 than when they were 30. Like there are people like that. Like their endurance levels are insane. And it doesn't have to be necessarily fitness. It could just be spirit of life, right? And when we look at them, we're like, they're so youthful. It's because they grew with time, right? They took on their experiences, they kept it up, they kept going. They weren't thinking about reaching 65. They were thinking about what they were able to do at the end of today. And that day ended up reaching till tomorrow. And that tomorrow ended up reaching till the next day. But the people who stay in time, meaning they let time kind of like bear a burden on them, where it's like, fuck, another year, another day. And the concept of time and age just wears them down 100%. You're going to be old. You're going to act old. You're going to have that just weigh you down. I mean, the reality also is that we hear what we want to hear. And
Right.
when people complain, when people keep talking about like my life, my life, my life, the thing is they're not going to be happy until they hear people actually saying, you're right. You're going to die. You're right. It's going to be bad. And that's just what's going to happen. It's almost like I would say those people who are complaining and saying at the same time, I want people to support me, make me feel better. I'll be honest. I say to them, I say to myself in my head, I'm like, it's not going to help until they start telling themselves that I believe in something better.
Right.
Because like until then, you're going to be, and there's so many people that get upset when you tell them, hey, cheer up. Like they don't want to hear that. It's a lot for somebody, I would say, like when we're surrounded by people who are negative, and I see this all the time, and I'm an empath, so I naturally would feel for them. But then I'm like, it's not going to help what I'm going to say until they start believing differently. So, which I have my own, I guess you could say my own method with that, where it's like I don't necessarily validate saying, yeah, you're going to die, but at the same time, it's more like helping them understand why they feel that way. Like, why
Right.
do you think that? Right? Then, like, and there's always reasons. There's always reasons that people feel that way. People have a lot of trauma, fears, whatever. And if people could actually have a minute to explain why they feel that way and realize, like, oh my God, it's just founded on fears and it's not actually rational, Now they're open. They'll be
Yeah.
open to hearing like, okay, it may actually be better. And that's yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
You know what's so this is so off topic, but this just kind of reminds me of this. The people, especially with vintage cars,
Sure.
that go so bananas with everything being stock.
Mm,
Okay. Stock cars. And I am one of those people, I'm like, why? Terrible brakes, terrible power steering, horrible handle. I mean, you're putting somebody in a car that will
yes.
kill you if you
Yeah.
turn the wheel the wrong way.
True.
You know, it's there's so many amazing companies today that make amazing power steering systems, brake systems, new engine components, computer systems that are incredible. You could put in these cars to make them a lot safer. It's still not a great safe car, but it's a lot safer than it was 40, 50 years ago. I give this example, it's the same thing with life. You can hold on to the past as much as you want, but
Mm,
just remember how bad it was back then and what you're fighting for and where we are now. Thing is, I'm gay. If I was alive right now in 1954 and
forget
I
about it.
openly went to a Piggly Wiggly and said, "Hey y'all, I'm a faggot,"
Right.
they would arrest me. They would throw me in prison.
Right. Right.
You know, it's
For sure.
like you said, it's about if you stay in time, that's how you stay old.
Hmm.
And you
Yeah.
keep getting older with that.
Right. Right. It's true. It's a very true point. It makes yeah. It's unfortunate people staying in time. I mean, also staying in time also could mean like not willing to move past something, right? Not willing to actually understand that, like the power of letting go, which I talked about before with somebody else. Like letting go doesn't mean that you just let go. It means you know what to hold on to better. And growing with time versus staying in time, it's like for me going through a divorce, going through a lot of disappointing parts of my life, let's just say,
It's not easy.
it's not easy. But at the same time, because I understood the power of letting go, I told myself, like, I mean, I don't know how to say it, but like, if I have something toxic in my hand, like a fire, like a flame, am I going to keep holding on to it? Fuck no. Like, if even if it's like a valuable whatever backpack or shoe or whatever it is, it's worth a lot of money. I'm gonna let go because it's a freaking fire, right? So, and I'm gonna learn, like, okay, next time I safeguard better or I buy something, whatever, I'll buy a new thing. And I think that's the same thing with life as well. Like, it may be a lot of things you want to keep holding on to, but if there's fire on it, you gotta freaking let go, and you
Yeah.
gotta find out what else to hold on to, which is a learning curve for so many areas, right? Like, I'm sure
So
you've
many
had,
years.
you've
Yeah.
probably had this, yeah.
I actually had a very recent experience with this with my car. I had a 2017 Toyota RAV4. I got it during the pandemic. I drove it
Okay.
down from New York to Florida.
Nice.
I had a lot of memories in that car, but living down here and just the environment that I've in and like mental health, I stumbled upon a 2011 Ford Mustang convertible, and
Sweet. Wow.
yeah, I did a lot of research. Like, I checked about the engine parts and components. I was like, oh, wow, this is actually really affordable if I need to change things. Like, I
Mm,
found out like a fuel pump, like to change out a fuel pump in this car was like 200 and something dollars. And then with service and everything would be like 300 and something. I'm like, okay, that's not bad. You're thinking like a car that's like a sports car would be like a lot more. So it's, you know, and the thing was is I've had previous experience of buying cars before and had a lot of bad experiences. Going into this one, I was very practical. I'm like, look, you know, I got to
mhm,
let go on the past of like shitty experiences. I got to understand if I'm going to make this decision as an adult, I got to make sure what I'm going to do on my part. Do the research, make sure you know where you're getting it from, you know, doing all the things again for yourself as an individual. Look, there's no problem of being part of a community, being part of a group, being part of a family such as yourself,
mhm.
but you
Yeah.
still need to have individuality, because if you don't have individuality, there is no you. Period.
Right. 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 Exactly, that's true. And being able to I guess you could say believe in your individual sense, where like the codependency exists all the time with so many people,
Right.
and codependency is natural. I know we have like such a negative connotation about it, and it is, but like reality is that so many of us are codependent on people, on animals, on our gadgets, whatever it is, and being able to understand that I don't need that or don't need it, right? Maybe I want it, which is a huge difference. Like that also allows a person to pave a way into, I guess you could say, more of an awareness of what the next step may be. Like a lot of people just don't know what their next step would be in life, because they thought that that was the only step.
Sometimes you
Like,
don't need to know the next
right,
step. One
right.
thing one thing I've learned, especially like through cannabis and my experience with alternative health, is go with the flow. Trust me, it'll save you a lot of time with worry and anxiety and just freaking the fuck out for no reason.
Hmm.
You
Right.
feel,
It's
I mean, do
true.
you feel me on this?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. Like vulnerability, like allowing yourself to be vulnerable,
it's
and
okay to
just
fuck up.
yeah, 100%. Which goes with the notion of like people feeling like they need to be perfect. My God, I relate to that. Like,
I know, sometimes
I've
I do.
you know what I mean? Like just needing to just be perfect and to make sure things are just perfect. I mean, and
There's
this is what I
also
was
an
saying. Like, I'm a single dad and I'm a dog trainer, right? So like I kind of, in a way, but everybody else has their own reasons why they need to be perfect. But for me personally, it's like I feel and I fall into this trap of perfection because I want to be good for my kids, right? I want to be good for my business, for my clients, for the future. So, like,
what about
uh,
yourself though?
yeah, and that's the thing. That's the balance where, like, I've had to carve out so much time, good positive time and outlets, and and it goes deeper than that now. Like now I'm looking more into not just time but into, I guess you could say, quality driven projects where I guess now that I've mastered, in a way, let's just say, like my schedule and my flexibility of seeing, like, okay, I have a stable flow of income, like always, thank God, like it's predictable and I know what I'm getting. So now I could like mentally focus on some other things that I know that would benefit me, and it doesn't have to be big. Like I used to be the guy that like had to do like big projects. I am that. I'm intense. Sometimes I'm intense. Like I love doing my half marathons and doing my jiu-jitsu weekly. But at the same time, like what I'm really looking for is, I would say, in a intentional way, like something that doesn't have to be intense in practice, but intense in impact. Like, and that's just like meditation, for example, right? Like being around the right group of friends, things like that, where it's like
Right.
so chill in what it is, but like the after effects are like, wow, fuck, like I feel so good. You know what I mean? Like, and that's something where like yeah, like I think that's like the biggest and the best balance I could get, is where it's not just like doing hustling so much for my kids and my work, because like what I mean to say is like, I guess I could say I fooled myself by saying I'm balancing by like making time for myself and my kids. But the thing is, the time I made for myself was still intense. Like I would do a lot. Like I would, if and it was good stuff, and I still sometimes like long road trips, doing my marathons and tons of hiking. But then I started like telling myself, I'm like, dude, you're hustling nonstop. You're basically not stopping. Versus like the real balance would be like, definitely, yeah, once in a while and entertain a half marathon and all that, but really carving out time for literal meditation, for doing nothing. Like, and I do that now. Like I have pockets of time in the day where I literally just do nothing, and it's the best. My brain is able to function so much cleaner and better.
I did
uh,
that today.
you did that today?
Yeah,
That's sweet.
I watched the entire season 5 of The Nanny.
Oh, the nanny. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
cool show.
Oh my god, it was
Nice.
amazing. It was so fun. And just
Was that
smoking a
like
joint
after
and
work?
just
Nice.
well, I don't work on Saturdays and Sundays. I
Oh, I
use
forgot today's Sunday. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
That's huge.
I use the Sabbath observant excuse on Saturdays because they have overtime. I'm
That's
sat
funny.
yeah.
Is it a like a Jewish company?
Well, there's a lot of Jews that work there. I mean, like my regional manager is Jewish, but
So you have
he's not
what is that?
religious or anything.
Oh, got you. So
Yeah.
so you have the ability to use that as an excuse
Oh
technically.
yeah. Come on.
Wow.
Listen. Look, I'm a hippie at heart, you know?
Mm,
Like I scream love child every single time I walk into that office and they still haven't gotten the message. Like seriously. They know I don't belong there.
right.
But
Well,
it's just so funny when I do come into that environment, and I am who I am. You know what's so strange that I've kind of learned over the years is my style, me as a person of like who I represent is me. Like
right.
this is the most me version I can give you.
You're you're
Because
so unique for yourself,
yeah,
for who you
you
are.
just don't give a shit anymore. It's like I want to wear a fucking pair of jeans. I don't
Right.
care.
Right.
It's like only person that's stopping you, man, is yourself.
100%. Yeah. Very true. We stand in the way of our own greatness.
Oh boy,
Definitely.
all the
Definitely.
time.
Yep. That's which is like I've said this before that we're surrounded by two people all the time. It's our former selves and our future self, right? And
Okay.
the former self keeps saying like, "Come on, dude, you're a fuck up. Look at the past. Look at everything you've done, right, man? Like the bad things. Like you can't get there." And then the future self is like, "Dude, like this is like bigger than who you are. Come on, just take a chill. Don't even try, right?" And the thing is, until we realize that it's literally ourselves who is talking to us in our present state, we're going to start blaming and putting fingers in other people, right? We're going to be saying like, "Oh, he said I couldn't do it," or he's better than me, and like, "Oh my god, I feel so competitive and so little and so not pretty or so not whatever good looking and successful when I'm around that guy." There's all these, and the truth is like we're just placing those voices on people, on faces around ourselves, and not necessarily understanding that literally it originates inside me. And until I mastered that, well, now I would, want to say mastered, but like I really worked on it. Like now I literally don't give a shit because when I may hear or may possibly sense like disapproval, I don't even call it that anymore because nobody has power over me. But if I sense that, I'm like, oh, that's just originating from me. Like I'm like, you're not saying anything new. Like if somebody tells you you can't do that, I'm like, I already told myself that. So like you're not saying anything new. Like you can't tell me something I haven't heard already because I've told myself I can't do it. Right? I
Right.
recognize the doubt within myself and the fact that I worked through it and heard it. Like, what are you gonna tell me? I'm like, unless if you tell me something new, right, which I actually have never heard of, I'm not giving you power. But again, I think a lot of times I think is it's hard to admit that we doubt ourselves when we're trying so hard. We don't want doubt. And if there is doubt, we tend to say it's others who are doubting. And I actually told somebody recently, like, I love doubting myself. Like, I actually do. Like, I love starting something with like this happens actually. I would say 75% of the time when I'm training a dog. Like until I walk into the house, I'm literally doubting myself. Like I don't know because I got hard cases. I'm like I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to do it.
I
And
feel you,
then
man. I feel that every single time I do podcasting. I'm like,
as
why am
well,
I doing this? Like, I shouldn't be doing this. Like, I'm not
really,
qualified for this shit. Yeah,
yeah,
man. I feel you 100%. Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And then the sensation of like proving yourself wrong is so cool,
It's
right?
amazing.
Right? It's like, wait, I can actually do it. And I think one of the most important parts though is recognizing that you're allowed to doubt yourself. Like you're allowed to actually say, I don't think I can do this, or I'm not sure. Because if you don't recognize that you're the one saying it, and you just think you're full of like, I guess like triumph and glorious, beautiful, like look what I did, right? Type of thing. And then when life hits you where it's tough and you're not used to it being like a normal thing that you personally go through, you're going to blame other people, right?
Right.
You're going to expect other people to make your life better. And it's not going to be that way at all. Versus like just yin yang. Like, yeah, I got a down and I got a high, right? Like I doubt and then I triumph and I challenge and I win. Like that's that's the beauty.
The thing is a lot of what we're talking about is things that we've had to learn
Yeah.
and experience is so important. Yeah, literally experience them.
Hmm.
I'll be honest with you. I like there are so many of us that leave the community and have very successful lives,
Right.
and I just feel like we don't really have a voice, to be honest, because I feel like this is just me personally.
Sure.
There's like this agenda that's put on where only the message of extreme chaos and division of society is the message that we want to bring out to people. We want people to pick out people by their color, by their race, by their sex. That's the whole purpose, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
That's the whole meaning. If you do jujitsu, like, are you a female jujitsu artist? Are you male jujitsu? Are you
Yeah.
non-binary, Isaac? These are important things that we need to know.
Right. Right. Exactly.
I'm like, what?
True. It's true. Like
It's like
we're so focused on those categories and boxing people.
it's like who cares?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
does it matter?
Right.
You
100.
know?
It's so true. It's so true how people, I don't know, like it's an agenda for people to have, I guess you could say, to, I guess, have all ducks in a row to make sure everything's all right, everything's perfect, everything's according to a certain standard that they've created.
Right.
Um, that's just, it's true. It's true. I mean, the passion alone of doing something should be enough, I think, to unite us. We don't need to have other factors to unite us. That are we all thinking the same way? Are we all the same? I guess you could say gender. The same identity. Um, like that. That's not needed. Like we don't need that in order to unite us. I think unity could be so much easier to be achieved if we focus on the similarities
You know, there
between us.
was there was one we did a whole podcast episode actually about this. His name was Harvey Milk. He
Okay.
was one of the very first people elected openly gay councilman that was elected in San Francisco, and he was assassinated.
Wow.
And it was his philosophy was where if you strip everything down, you know,
Yeah.
you want a safe community, you want to have a school, you want to have businesses, right? You want to have care in case of an accident or an injury.
Hmm.
And he brought up very valid points. In the end of the day, we pretty much all want very similar things. We want education, we want a safe environment,
Hmm.
we want a community where we can thrive and prosper. People are like, I don't give a shit about your community. I'm like, girl, you got a 7-Eleven, okay? You give a shit about your community if you got a 7-Eleven, all right? It's built there for a reason. But
Hmm.
in that type of environment and understanding that is the reality, you kind
Right.
of, I don't know, you kind of are like, well, either going to accept it or you're going to be a bitch and be a Karen about it. You got a choice, I think.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, no, no. I agree with you. I
Eh.
agree with you. Just how, yeah, I would say the way people would view that, but it's sad. I guess, yeah, it's sad. I don't know. People put again. I think we said before, like we referenced like a collective ideology versus independent, individual based.
Do you want to elaborate? Because some people probably won't understand what a collective
Yeah,
thought process is.
yeah. I would say good question. So good point. collective thought process would be that we, like, for example, in the Jewish world, like we say we are the Jewish nation. We're not saying we are an individual, right? We are a people, we are a person. It's very much we are a nation, which is good. Like I say, religion or collective thought, if you, which I'm going to describe more, it's very similar to like a bundle. You're buying like you're paying for like one maybe Hulu, and it brings in ESPN and Disney and everything else with it, right? So in a way, like religion kind of just like provides everything. And in order to do that, you have to ascribe. It's almost like a give and take. You have to ascribe to like everything that it offers because look how much it gives you. That's kind of like the idea. So we have like almost this responsibility to uphold some sort of like picture image of what it is because of the bounty of blessings that it offers. I truly believe that in for some people, we have the ability to create those blessings on our own, right? Like we have the ability to learn how to actually create the change in our lives without having to believe in a system that's going to do it for us.
Right.
And for us to believe in ourselves, in our own needs, which will definitely lead towards an actual growth, developmental stage, and manifestation of our actual selves. That takes a lot when you're born and raised with this thought that I guess you could say we all have to be the same. We all are here for each other. We have to uphold the image for me, you, and millions of other people. Versus like, but my own needs, or like for example, I was at a like a Torah. I mean, it was just like a discussion class and very open minded, lots of different opinions and everything. And like the rabbi is actually a friend of mine. He said like, do you think he asked like a classic question? He's a religious guy, but he's very non-biased towards any opinion. So he was like, what do you think about like celebrities, like movie stars? Are they living their purpose? And there was a religious girl there who like I would say so stereotypical of them. She's like, of course not. And like, of course they're not. Like that's not like purposeful, and it's not an actual.
Well, it's a
I guess you
career.
could say
Well, I mean, it's a career for starters.
it is. And I turned back and I said, what makes you think that? What makes you think that's not their purpose? Maybe their purpose in this world is to be able to entertain masses of people, millions of people, and this is what they're actually best at. So if that's what they're best at, then why are they not doing their actual purpose? Just because you have decided that there is some sort of threat towards the Jewish nation, towards a national identity, when somebody decides to be out of the box, right? Decide to do something different, dress different, look different, act different,
Barbara
which does
Streisand. Yeah.
yeah, 100%.
Oh
And that
my god.
which goes against the collective way of living, which is very held by like I was going to say barbed wires. I think that sounds too much because it references,
That's
I
okay.
guess, the Holocaust and all
You
that.
can
But like,
go as dark as you like on
yeah,
this
yeah,
podcast. Trust me, they're not going to censor us just yet.
okay. So yeah, so it's like being held by barbed wires, you know, because and that's just where the mindset is limiting us. And when it goes that way, then it becomes like a war of black versus white or whatever it is, like color versus no color, where, people who are living a life of being a celebrity or being a movie star, for a lot of people who don't appreciate individual expression or individual way of living, they're going to be threatened by that 100%.
It's
You know,
it's it's one of the few. To be a successful celebrity is very difficult. A lot of these
sure.
people don't look at what it took for them to get to where they are. Takes, for example, people such as Gene Wilder. I love Gene Wilder. Incredible actor and comic, Richard Pryor. I
Yeah.
mean, but this is years of work and progression and progress. Like the being a celebrity, like their careers, that
Hmm.
is their life's purpose. I mean, why else are they doing that? If you asked Robin Williams, why are you doing what he's doing? He'd tell you, because I love what I'm doing. He loved what he's doing.
Yeah,
He's a comic.
exactly.
He made everybody happy. Everybody loved Robin Williams.
Right.
So
It's true.
it's all about, I always say this on the pod, it's all about changing your perspective. And when you're in a collective mindset, it's non existent. There's no such thing as having a different perspective, it's not allowed.
Right.
Why should there
Exactly.
be a different opinion? There
Right.
isn't a different opinion. There's only one opinion for all the people.
Right. 100%.
I actually, my very first tattoo that I ever got is a quote by Walt Disney. I have it on my arm. It's kind of hard to see, but
Okay.
it's kind of fun to do the impossible,
I love that. It's
and
kind of fun to do
it's
the
kind of fun to
impossible.
do the impossible. And
So cool. I love that. Yes.
the thing is, you know, oh, I can't do that. Well, guess what? If everybody had that kind of attitude, we would be living on grass right now, building fires.
Yeah.
Um, no progress would have actually ever
100%.
happened. Ever.
100%.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I have this quote on my wall from Walt Disney: "If you can dream it, you can do it." I'm sure you've heard that, right?
I don't care that, like, people call him a raging anti-Semite. Like, I don't give a flying fuck. The man was a genius
Yeah.
for the simple reason this is why Disney's probably gonna turn into some woke communist, I don't know, fucking nuclear program eventually. I'm not joking. I'm being serious.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he had a vision of how can you create a world, in an environment, especially with art, that not only inspires but
Hmm.
also has emotion and feeling with pictures and stories. These
Right.
are things that each of us humans have passions and desires to do. You know, people say, "Well, oh, you can't do a Walt Disney." You know what? You know how difficult it was for that man to get
Hmm.
where he was. Do you understand? By the way, I didn't even realize this. Do you understand that he was only successful for 20 years out of his entire life?
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, from 1951 to 1966 when he passed away.
Wow.
Not even 20 years. That was pretty
Insane.
much his years of full success. That was it.
Wow.
So you
Crazy.
really you really have to ask yourself, like, that question of, yes, you want to think like, "Oh my god, it's impossible," but these people did the impossible and they succeeded.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. I mean, they were wow. Yeah, I mean, if you can dream, you can do it. Essentially means that, like, if it's in your head, right, that's already 50% there, right? Because how else do you come up with? I remember there was this quote I saw from Steve Harvey, and he was asking the audience. He says, "What turns on the TV, right? When you want to watch TV, what turns it on?" People are like, "The remote." He's like, "Nah." He says, It's your decision to turn on the remote that turns on the TV,
Yeah.
right?" And it's like, that's fire. And it's the same thing with, if you can dream it, you can do it. Because if it's in your fucking head, that means you're supposed to be doing it, right? And that's where the faith part comes in, and confidence, and the individual's expression, and being able to truly believe in yourself. Where, like, could you actually do it? Well, that's what you're gonna have to figure out. But when, I guess you could say, when people don't value the thoughts, that's why I have this thing I always say: value your instincts, right? Your instincts, we have large and we have small. Large is like, I don't know, quitting your job and starting your own gig, which you believe in. Or small could be picking up the garbage off the floor, right? Maybe cleaning up the table. So if you practice with small, by, like, literally, and it happens all the time. I do it all the time. I'm walking in my room, I'm like, you should pick that up. You should pick that up, right? And I do it because I want to value my inner voice. I want my inner voice to know that he's listened to, right? Because if my inner voice is listened to, and I create, like, the habit and tendency to just listen, I promise you, I've already seen it. I have a way higher chance of actually listening when my inner voice tells me something of really good value.
Hmm. Yeah,
You know?
especially when there's a feeling of surrounding of area, when
Yeah.
you're in different environments and places. There are times where I'll be in environments and places I'm like, yeah, no, or, I've had where I plan on doing things. I'm like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not like I. This is really wild. I was actually in New York. Uh, I was upstate New York, so like I was all the way up like in near South Fallsburg in Woodridge.
Yeah.
So it was absolutely crazy. Like I went from like LaGuardia, it was like 2.5 hour like lift, insane. And when I was there, I went for a friend that I knew for a few years, and it was her graduation. Long story short, we're no longer friends anymore. But when I was there, the feeling in the environment towards like Motzi Shabbat, like Saturday night,
Yeah.
I was like, this is over. Like in my head, I'm like, this is over. The relationship is over. That's it. And it took a few days to process, in a couple of weeks and talking back and forth. But 100% I agree with you. Like there is a voice inside of you that will talk to you.
Yes.
It's very annoying,
Yes.
very annoying, but it's there. And God, that's just one example I can give you. I mean, you probably have tons of examples as well. I mean, again, paying attention. The thing is that we are so distracted, and I think this is also an added benefit for, especially for people in our age groups.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not saying that people today can't experience it, but it's a little bit easier when you remember when there was just dial up, and a cell phone call would cost you 10 cents,
Mhm.
and you tried
Yeah.
calling Jersey, they'd charge you a fee. Okay.
Right. Right.
You,
Right.
God, my parents got pissed sometimes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's also understanding your priorities. You touched on this earlier where, you've built yourself your independent career. You have your clients that you have to depend on. At the same
Right.
time, you're a father, so you have responsibility as, to
Mhm.
your kids. And then on top of that, you're training dogs. You have
Yeah.
the responsibility to that. But your priorities. See, the funny thing is, we're talking about our priorities, but I feel sometimes many people don't know what their priorities are, or are sometimes even confused what could their priorities be. You know what I mean?
It's true. It's true. That's what I mean. It's a lot about, like, I would say, instincts as well. Like, what do you feel is most important to you, right? What does your intuition tell you about what you should be setting up? Like for me, I have my priorities like during the week where my work, in a way, I like to say, it has to work around it. So it's like my jujitsu, my biking, and obviously time with my dogs, right? There's like those like important parts in the gym, I guess. Like those are kind of the few, and then like I write down always every week, like these are the hours that I'm doing time with each of that. And I know, like, if I let work like literally overdo me, like I don't take clients and my kids are with me, and yet I'm still able to make a living. Like I don't take clients to the point where I can't exercise during the week, or I can't meditate, I can't have like my morning coffee, right? Like these are important things for me. And I've had a life where I was overdoing it, and oh my god, I wasn't happy. But yet I'm working so hard. But like, no, it's not about making more. So I'm making good. It's about doing well, right? Like that's the most important thing, really. Like doing 10-hour days won't produce a smile. Right? It won't. Like you gotta have to be able to create that balance, and that should be a goal. Look, some people have to. I'm not gonna say unfortunately because that sounds bad, but some people have to work really hard, really long. But if you can make it a goal where you don't have to do that, right? And you could find a way to have some sort of balance. I think the end goal should never be to make more money, but should be able to be make good money with a good balance of life and work, right? Like that should be a goal. I think everybody should really strive for, because
Well
that
being
way
and well balance.
you'll have harmony, you have serenity, happiness and peace.
Thing is, people say that the hippies failed. In many ways that they did. And I feel one of the reasons was that their ideology of not working.
Uh-huh.
No one's saying that you work in a corporate office. Look, sometimes you have to do those things to be able to survive and be practical.
Right.
But you can create yourself a career like you're doing for yourself and be able to have an open perspective and have your own ideology and individuality on top of all of that. And I think today's generation,
Hmm.
with all of that knowledge taken in mind, it's all about making the work for yourself and getting there, but
Wow.
not, like you said, if you make yourself crazy, you're just going
Hmm.
to burn yourself out. I've seen this with, dude, you know how many podcasters I've followed?
Hmm.
They don't post anymore.
Wow. Really?
They're done. You know why? They're
Why?
posting 4, 5, 3 episodes a week. Sometimes I do 2 a week.
Wow.
Again, like same thing with you. Like there are things where you're not going to have a client at 8 o'clock in the morning.
No.
You've
Right.
got your schedule. You got to get your coffee and stuff.
Right.
God, I'm so thankful that I've actually like come to awareness to this. To be honest.
For sure. Yeah. I like what you said about like the hippies that don't work because essentially at the end of the day we do have to work,
Yes.
but because this is our source of validation of fulfillment. But also it's really important to know what you're working for and what work are you doing. Is that actually validating you or is it not? When we tend to overdo it, it's usually because we are not confident, right? We may not have found the right thing. It's like taking somebody who's like trying to be a bodybuilder, but they're not meant to be it. They don't have the genes, they don't have the strength, whatever it is.
Right.
Like you're gonna be killing yourself. But like if you're gonna be really smart and you could be a chemist, a doctor, or whatever it is, that might be hard in the beginning. But bro, like when you get over the humps and you realize your qualities are here for this, right? And you
Yeah.
actually believe in yourself, then boom, it's gonna be easy, somewhat, relatively, for you.
You
So
hope you hope that
you
that's the
hope,
goal. Yeah.
yeah. But like I think the only bad thing I guess you could say is when people get turned off by work with one bad experience and they tend to say that it's never good for them. Like maybe that's what, people said about hippies, like this just don't work. But in a way they were right though. Cause like if you're going to continuously push yourself and not actually be content and happy and take time off for yourself and create a work-life balance literally every fucking day, right? Then yeah, you're not really actually living for a good life. You're living
No.
for a stress life.
And,
Yeah.
and I think with that note, it's all about what direction you want to take. The word that they use for people that leave the community is OTD,
Yeah.
which means off the derech.
Right.
Derech just means way in English, so it's off the way. And I always found it strange, like why is it off the way, off the direction? And I think it's for the very reason you just mentioned.
Yes. It's
Mm.
true. Yeah, very true. Good point. Did like what was the limit? Just asking for the podcast.
Bro, there's no limit with this podcast. This podcast can go on
Forever.
for, I mean, the technically the longest episodes go like an hour and 30.
Okay.
But yeah. Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
If you're like you post on social media, like I see your posts all the time on Facebook. If anybody like wanted to find your stuff, your content, where can they find you?
It's a good, yeah, good question. Good point. So my dog training content is under at the holistic dog coach. So the holistic holistic dog coach. That's Facebook, Instagram, and then like my own positive shit, good vibes, which includes my dogs, my kids, fitness, jiu-jitsu, travel, all that fun stuff. So that's on Instagram. It's at Isaac the Creative One, or just Facebook Isaac Mass. And yeah, I mean, I see myself as a trailblazer And at times I do take a chill pill and I don't post, but when I do, it's always with the intention to be able to show people that it's whatever it is that they want to do, it's possible. And I think the biggest thing I would try to preach is having a good day as possible. We're not
Right.
talking glorious and huge and being in the Maldives. That's not what I'm focusing for. Like what I'm focusing is like find beauty in your backyard, find beauty within yourself. I like to say finding beauty starts off by looking in the mirror,
Yeah.
right? And that's the first step towards finding beauty in your life.
Yeah.
Uh, and the more people I could get to smile and to believe in that, like, bro, that makes my day. Yeah,
It's all about how you use the tools. The thing is that being genuine on social media can be quite punishing because you don't see quick results and it may take more time. But the benefits are this is we're like you said, you're looking at the mirror and you're seeing a beautiful reflection. You're not
right,
seeing a filter or something that's been painted to look pretty, like a
right,
painted pig.
right.
Something real, something genuine. And I really love that. And I mean, first off, I mean, just with the posts and stuff, you're an absolutely amazing dog
Thank
trainer. I
you,
mean,
man.
anybody that's in your area, let me ask you, where are you located?
It's a good question. So I live in Teaneck, North Jersey,
Okay, so
like
you're
right
in,
near,
okay.
yeah, like right out of New York City, essentially.
So for any of our people out in the Northeast in that area, you can definitely check that out and definitely hit up
100%.
Isaac, to see if your dog needs a little bit of training. And with that, before I forget this, with the podcast. So if you guys be sure to like and subscribe, and if you want to find us, we are on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at
Sweet.
Lost in the Groove Pod. One
Awesome.
hashtag. Yeah, that's cool. So with that, stay groovy, my friends. I'm gonna catch you in the next episode. Bye,
Thanks.
everybody. This was
Bye-bye.
fun. Oh my
It
god, this
was
is great.
fun.
This is so
Thank